Welcome to Izzo Math. In this video, we're going to talk about how money grows. The first thing we're going to talk about here is simple interest. I'm going to work in green because we are talking about money. Money, 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 money. Okay? Simple interest. Should be simple, right? So let's say we invest $500 at 6% annually. At 6% simple interest. Simple interest annually. Well, I spelled annually wrong. There we go. Annually. Okay? So, let's say at the end of year one, so we put 500 bucks in. At the end of year one, we have our $500 and we get an additional 6% of that. So that's going to be multiplied by 0.06, right? So that's how much money we have at the end of year one. At the end of year two, we have 500 bucks plus the interest from last year, which was 500 times 0.06. But this year, we earn interest only on the 500 bucks. We don't get the earn interest on this additional money that's in there. It's simple interest. We only get the earn interest on that 500 bucks. So again, we get 500 times 0.06 at the end of the third year. So we've got our 500 bucks that we initially put in. Okay. So we've got our 500 bucks that we initially put in, plus the interest we earned at the end of the first year, plus the interest we earned at the end of the second year, and plus an additional little bit of interest here that we earn at the end of the third year, 0.06. Again, it's real important. We only earn interest on the initial 500 bucks that we put in there. And you might start to see a pattern here. If I look at the end of year one, what did I have? Let me go in this color. It's going to be, if I take 500 times 1 plus 0.06, right? And this one's going to equal 500 times 1 plus, and now I've got 2 of those 0.06s, 2 times 0.06, and then here this one's going to equal 500 times 1. So there, that one, pull the 500 out of all these, and I'm left with 1, 2, 3 0.06s plus 3 times 0.06. Okay? And if you see there, that's what's going to give us this formula. So P naught is going to be our initial condition plus 1. Let me go in red here. So P naught is going to be our initial condition right there, plus 1 times 1 plus R, which is going to be my 0.06, that's my interest rate, times T, the number of years, 3. So after 15 years here, let's say ... year 15, I know that I'm going to have 500 times 1 plus 15 times 0.06. Work that out on the calculator, and that would give you the amount of money. Again, in this video, our focus is really trying to make these formulas make a little bit of sense rather than actually calculating out these numbers. Okay? Let's go to the next one. Here we're going to have compound interest once per year. So let's talk about the difference between compound interest. And before I do, let me say one thing. Let's say when we increase something, so let's increase 50 by 8%. So I'm going to take 50 and I'm going to add 50 times 0.08. Right? And I can factor out that 50 and get 50 times 1 plus 0.08, which equals 50 times 1.08. So to increase something by any percentage, it's all you can always do it real quickly. So let's say increase 50 by 30%. it's just going to be 50 times 1.3. And as simple as that is, people have a tough time dealing with that. So make sure you make that make sense, because it's fundamental to all of this business with money. Okay? So again, let me get my green pen out. We're talking about money. So let's invest 500 bucks again at 6% compounded once. Oops. Compounded once annually. Okay? So, let's say at the end of the first year, I have my 500 bucks and I get the additional 6%. Same as simple interest that first year. That's going to equal 500 times 1.06. Now, what's different with compound interest is now I have this amount of money. So in year 2, I have the same, and at the beginning I have the same amount that I had at the beginning of year 1. No, at the beginning of year 2 I have the same amount that I had at the beginning of year 2 with simple interest. But here's going to be the big key. I get to add interest to this whole thing. I get to earn interest on my interest. So I bump this whole amount up by 6%. That is, I take this whole piece and multiply it by 1.06. Because I earn interest on my interest. That's the difference between compound interest and simple interest. So that's going to equal 500 times 1.06 squared. Okay? And then you'll see the formula pops out pretty nicely here. After 3 years, I've got this amount of money at the beginning of my 3rd year times 1.06 squared. That's how much money I have at the beginning of the 3rd year. At the end of the 3rd year, the bank says thank you and bumps me up 1.06. And so that gives me 500 times 1.06 cubed. And you see we're getting exponential growth when money is compounded. Okay? So that is, this formula here is working out just like this thing is. So that is, after, let's say, 15 years, we would have 500 times 1.06 to the 15th. Or to make it look like that formula up there, this is the same thing as 500 times 1 plus 0.06 raised to the 15th. Okay? Just an example there to show you why we want this formula to make sense. And over here is really the key. Understanding that when I increase something by some percentage, I increase 107 by 25%, I simply multiply 107 times 1.25. Okay? Let's see how we're looking on time. 8 minutes, 39 seconds. Let me knock out, let's see. I think I can do it. Now we're going to do compound interest in times per year. Now the difference here, so let's say we got 500 bucks and at 6% compounded monthly. Alright, so 500 bucks. So at the end of the first month, we put 500 bucks in, and at the end of the first month, you don't get to bump it up by 6%, because that 6% is yearly. So you don't get to bump it up by 6%. You only get to bump it up by 1 plus 0.06 by a 12th of 6%. And so you do that every month. You do that 12 times, and as a whole, you get a total of 6%. That is, if you do 0.6 over 12 times, that's going to just add up to be, you got a total of 6%. So these are months. So at the end of month 2, you've got 500. You originally had 500 times 1 plus 0.06 over 12, and now you hit it with that again. 1 plus 0.06 over 12. That's going to square it, and you can see, so at the end of, let's say, 5 years, you've been through 60 months. So at 5 years, we're going to have 500 times 1 plus 0.06 over 12, and it's going to be raised to it's going to be 60 months. But note that 60 equals 5 times 12. So that's going to be where the t comes from, and this right there. And the n is the number of years, the number of compounding periods per year. Okay? And hopefully that's going to make these formulas make sense. I always think it's important that things make a little bit of sense. See you in the next video.